Good day, dear children. Today, we begin with you all have already seen the introduction of Shakespeare plays. We begin with Merchant of Venice. The scene is taking place in Venice, a street in Venice. Usually, this Venice is supposed to be a country full of rivers, and the people step out from the houses to boats to go from one house to another. But here, anyway, Shakespeare has created a street so that it is more suitable for a play to rather than having in a boat or inside a room. Now, in a street, it's taking place. Antonio, the merchant of Venice, and two of his friends are meeting. So they are the characters, Antonio, Salerino, and Salenio. Take note of the spellings, please. Salarino, Salerino, and Salenio. Now, the dialogue starts with the main character of the play, Antonio. In sooth, I know not why I am so sad. It wearies me. You say it wearies you, but how I caught it, found it, or came by it, what stuff it is made of, whereof it is born, I am to learn. And such a want with sadness make of me that I have much ado to know myself. That's Shakespearean language, my dear children. It's easy to understand. Once you get used to it, you will understand it clearly. Let me go line by line. In sooth, I know not why I am so sad. Indeed, in sooth, indeed, I do not know why I am sad. So what has happened to Antonio? Antonio is sad. Sometimes it happens to us also. Sometimes we don't feel in a good mood. We are in a bad mood. We don't know the reason. We just don't feel like enjoying. So like that, Antonio doesn't feel like enjoying. Antonio is sad. It wearies me. It makes him very tired. It wearies me. It tires me. You say it wearies you. When I am tired, I am not in a mood. You are also not in a mood. It so happens when one of our friends are not in a mood, all of us will lose. All of us will lose that happiness between us, that there will be no joy in the company. But how I caught it, how the sadness began in me, found it or came by it, when it started within me, what stuff it is made of, that is why I am sad, what is the reason for my sadness, whereof it is born, what caused this sadness, I am to learn, I have to understand. I don't know the reason why I am sad, but I just know that I am sad. And such a want with such an idiot it makes out of me that I have much ado to know myself. I have to learn more about my sadness. Now, this Shakespeare begins with Antonio's sadness. It is a clue towards what is going to happen in future. In the later in the play, a tragedy happens on Antonio. So maybe it was a pointer towards that tragedy. This melancholy of Antonio must be a pointer towards the future tragedy of Antonio. Now, Salerino tries to explain the reason for the sadness. Your mind is tossing on the ocean. There were your argosies with portly sail. You are thinking, your mind is in the ocean, where your argosies means cargo ships. Cargo ships, where are the cargo ships moving towards? Cargo ships are moving towards a port or moving away from a port to another port. Like seigneurs and rich burghers, his cargo ships are compared to rich merchants and noble people. There is a comparison done. It is a simile. On the flood here stands for the sea. The ships on the sea are compared to noble men and rich merchants on the land, or as it were the pageants of the sea. Now, like how you have in the tableaus of the Republic Day parade and all moves, how you have and how the view of those tableaus, like that, his ships are a sight to see in the sea. Now, what happens is actually when a big ship moves through the sea, if a small boat comes by the side, it overturns because of the waves caused by the big ship. So here, Salerno says that small boats are bowing to the big ships, so that because seeing the lordly make of the big ships. Do they curtsy to them, do them reverence as they fly by them with their woven wings. Now, Salerno says three things regarding the what he will do if he had ships at sea. Believe me, sir, had I such venture forth, had I businesses like this, the better part of my affection would be with my hopes abroad. I will always be thinking about the ship. I should be still plucking the grass. So the first thing he does is plucks the grass and holds it up and sees where the wind blows, where the grass is moving, to know where sits the wind. Peering in maps for ports, looking into the maps, where are the ports, will my ship reach there? Looking at the wind, he know how fast his ships will be moving. And every object that make me fear misfortune to my ventures out of doubt would make me sad. Everything that may cause harm to the ship may make me sad. So three things. What are the three things that Salerno does? Pluck the grass and check the direction of the wind. Second, look into maps and ports to see where the ship will be, where the direction of the ship will be. And three, think of all the dangers that may happen to the sea. Now, Salerno is giving a detailed explanation of what are the dangers at the sea. My wind cooling my broth, all of you, when you get hot tea. Now, here it is a soup. You're getting to drink, you will be blowing into it. When you blow into it, there will be a movement inside of the soup or whatever liquid you are drinking. So that movement of the liquid that you are drinking will remind me of the great storms that may cause harm to my ships in the sea. So wind cooling the broth is reminding him of the great storms at the sea. Note the point. Second, what harm a wind too great might do at sea. I should not see the sandy hourglass run. You know what is a sandy hourglass? Two cups, and there will be sand on one part. It will be kept, and the sand will be going down to the down portion, the bottom portion. When once all the sand is down, it is considered as 1 hour, and then it is overturned. All must have seen that. Now, whenever I see the sandy hourglass, I look at the sand and I think about, but I should think of shallows and of flats and see my wealthy Andrew docked down it. During that time, there was a ship named Andrew, which carried rich cargo, and it got stuck on a sand under the sea. So whenever he sees a hourglass, he remembers about the shallow waters under the sea where his ship may get stuck. Veiling her high top lower than her ribs. High top means those masts and all lying sideways under the sea. To kiss her burial. Now that is about the sand. So first, cooling the broth, think about storms. Second, sandy hourglass, think about shallow seas. Now the third point, should I go to church? Now churches are made, and during those days, most churches made out of rocks. So when he sees the rocky face, the rock face of the church, should I go to church and see the holy edifice of stone and not bethink me straight dangerous rocks, which touching my gentle vessel's side would scatter all her spices on the stream? Remember, when he goes to church, when he sees the rocks, he is reminded of the dangerous rocks under the sea, which may hit his ship and scatter it to pieces, and all the spices that are kept inside, all that cinnamon, cardamom, all those things are scattered in the seawater. Or the silks that are brought. During those times, ships were coming from India or from China to all the other places. India and China during these times, during these centuries, India and China were number one leading countries in the world, richest countries in the world. China was famous for its silk and India was famous for its spices. From all over the world, people were coming to China and India to collect these spices and silk. And that's how the Silk Route from China originated. And you know that the Silk Route from China actually touched Kollam. That's why that saying came, Kollam Kandavan Illam Venda, that saying came, because it was one of the famous ports in the Silk Route, this Kollam. So here, these ships, now here Shakespeare also says the ships containing all these spices, once it breaks, once it capsizes by hitting a rock, all the spices will be scattered in the sea. So that the whole cargo is lost, which touching my gentle vessel side would scatter all her spices on the stream, enrobe the roaring water with my silk. So it's carrying silks, and the silk will be, now the sea waves will be wearing all the silks and dancing about. And in a word, but even now worth this and now worth nothing. Understand that line very carefully. In a word, now worth this means, imagine it is having crores of rupees of silks inside it and crores of rupees of spices inside it. Now the worth of the ship will be maybe 50 crore, 30 crore. It is when all these cargo is intact inside the ship. That is the worth of the ship. Now suppose the ship is going and hitting a rock, and all these silks and spices are getting immersed in the salt water in the sea. It is immersed in the water. Now what is the worth of the ship? The worth of the ship now is 0 crores, nothing. So even now it was worth this. Even now it was worth 50 crores. After the crash, it is worth nothing. Shall I have the thought to think on this? And shall I lack the thought that such a thing bechanced would make me sad? Now when I think of all these accidents, definitely I will be sad. But tell not me, I know Antonio is sad thinking upon his merchandise. Antonio is worried about his business transactions, about his cargo out in the sea inside the ship. So that is Salerno's explanation. You have to remember the 3 dangers Salerno speaks about in his dialogue. First is wind, storms. Second is shallow waters. And third is dangerous rocks. These 3 things can happen to ship out in the sea. Now Antonio, very important. See how Antonio gives the reply. Believe me, no, I thank my fortune for it. I'm a lucky person. I'm not worried about my cargo at all. Now, why is Antonio not worried about the cargo? 3 points, remember, important. My ventures are not in one bottom trusted. My profit does not depend upon one ship, one bottom, one ship. My profit does not depend upon one ship. I have many ships. If that ship goes, doesn't matter. I have 25 other ships. So, my profit does not depend upon one ship. Point number 1. Second, nor to one place. My ship has gone to India, West Indies, China. My ship has gone to all sorts of places. All the places. So, if a ship in the towards West Indies crashes, doesn't matter. There is another ship gone to another place. So, my profit does not depend upon one ship. Second point, my profit does not depend upon one destination. Nor is my whole estate upon the fortune of this present year. Third point, my profit does not depend upon, or my income, my wealth does not depend upon this year's profit. Even if I don't get any profit from the ships this year, doesn't matter. I have investments made somewhere else. So, I'm not worried about my cargo at all. Therefore, my merchandise makes me not sad. 3 points. Remember that. Once more I am telling, my profit does not depend upon one ship. Second, my profit does not depend upon one destination. And third, my profit does not depend upon the profit of this present year or this current year. Salerno. Why? Then you are in love. That is the reason. You are in love. That's why you are sad. Fay, shame, pinne. I'm such an old person. You think I'm going to get in love? So Antonio is a little aged person, not so young. So he says, no, I'm not interested in shame. Then Salerno says, not in love neither? Huh? You're not in love also? Then let us say you are sad because you are not merry. You are sad because you are not happy. And 'twere easy for you as to laugh and leap and say you are merry because you are not sad. If you are not trying to make yourself happy. That is why you are sad. So if you want, you can be happy. Then he speaks about a Roman god, two-headed Janus. Two-headed Janus. It is from the Roman god two-headed Janus that the month of January got its name. Janus, like Brahma, has 3 heads, Hindu mythology. Now this Roman god has 2 heads. One opposite the other. So one head looking towards the coming year and one head looking towards the bygone year. By two-headed Janus, nature had framed strange fellows in her time. There are such strange persons in this world. Some that will evermore peep through their eyes and laugh like parrots at a bagpiper. That is for very silly reasons. Some are happy for nothing at all. They don't need a reason. They are always happy. For silly things, they try to find happiness. And others, such of vinegar aspect. Vinegar aspect means with a sour face, always keeping up frowning faces. And they'll not show their teeth in way of smile. Whatever you say, they will not smile. Though Nestor swear the just be laughable. Nestor is the underworld god. Even if that god, which is always connected to darkness, even that God laughs, these people will not laugh. They will always keep a serious face. At that time, enter Bassanio, Lorenzo, and Graziano, 3 other friends of Antonio. Salerno, here comes Bassanio, your most noble kinsman. Your best friend is coming, Bassanio. We leave you now with better company. Now you have better company. We are going. Salerno, I would say stay till I had made you merry if worthy of friends had not prevented me. If they had not come, I would have stayed back and made you smile. Then Antonio says, your worth is very dear in my regard. I love you very much. I like you also. I take it your own business calls on you and you embrace the occasion to depart. You are trying to find an excuse because you have some other business you are going. And now you are trying to tell me because they came, you went. Good morrow, my good lord. So Salerno is greeting Bassanio and all. Bassanio says, good signors both. When shall we laugh? Say when. When are we going to get together? When we came, you are going. When are we going to get together? You grow exceeding strange, must it be so? We are not meeting at all. You are becoming strangers. Why is it so? We'll make our leisures to attend on you. So, okay, we will find some time and we will get together. And they both go away. Lorenzo, my Lord Bassanio, since you have found Antonio, we too will leave you. But at dinner time, I pray you have in mind where we must meet. So, they are deciding when they are going to meet, and Lorenzo and Graziano is also moving away. These two, Antonio and Bassanio, are best friends. I will not fail you. Don't worry, I will reach. So they are deciding at what time they are going to meet. Graziano, you look not well, Signor Antonio. You don't look well. You have too much respect upon the world. You're worried about the world. You worry about so many things. They lose it that do buy it with much care. Those who give too much importance to worldly affairs, they will lose it fast. They will be worried. They will always find something to worry about. Believe me, you are marvelously changed. You are not like before. You have changed. Antonio, very, very important, a most quoted line. You all should learn it by heart. I hold the world but as the world. Graciano. For me, world is just like that. A stage where every man must play a part. So world is a stage where every man has a part to play. And mine, a sad one. My part, my role is a sad one. That's why I am sad. Graciano, let me play the fool, then I will take the fool's role. What is a fool's role? Joker. We have it circus, that Joker, that is fool's role. With mirth and laughter, let old wrinkles come. Let me be happy and let wrinkles come on my face because of my laughter. And let my liver rather heat with wine than my heart cool with mortifying groans. I'm not going to spend my time crying or worrying over things. Why should a man whose blood is warm within sit like grandsire cut in alabaster? Alabaster is a stone. As grandsire cut in alabaster is a statue. A person who is a vigorous, energetic person, why should he sit with no expressions like a statue? Sleep when he wakes and creep into jaundice by being peevish. Why should somebody be sad? Why should somebody not enjoy life? I tell thee what, Antonio, I love thee, and it is my love that speaks. People always say, it is because out of love I am saying these things, because I care for you, and they say all rubbish. So here Graciano is saying that I love thee, that's why I am telling this. There are a sort of men whose visages do cream and mantle like a standing pond. What is a standing pond? A pond which is covered with all sorts of growth. The water hyacinths and all sorts of growth that we cannot see what is happening underneath. It will be a standstill pond. So we don't know whether there is life underneath or not. And do a willful stillness, entertain with purpose to be dressed in an opinion of wisdom, gravity, profound conceit. Some people keep quiet and make serious faces to give a pretension that they are very wise people. And who should say, I am Sir Oracle? Sir Oracle means the great people who say only great things. And when I open my lips, let no dog bark. When I open my lips, nobody else. So he belittles everybody else and he pretends that he is a great person. He is a wise person. Oh my Antonio, I do know of these, and therefore only one are reputed wise for saying nothing. They are wise as long as they keep their mouth shut. When I am very sure if they should speak, if they open the mouth and speak, would almost damn those ears which hearing them would call their brothers fools. If they open their mouth and speak, those who hear them will say, my God, why did I call him a fool? I am seeing the greatest fool here. Means if they open their mouth, they will speak only foolishness. So as long as their mouth is shut, they will be considered wise. They open their mouth to speak foolishness. There may be friends amongst you all also like that. I'll tell thee more of this another time, but fish not for this melancholy bait, for this foot grudgeon, this opinion, come good Lorenzo, for you well a while, I'll end my exhortation after dinner. So he says, don't try to be melancholic and try to pretend that you are wise. That doesn't suit you. Anyway, we will meet later. Lorenzo, well, we will leave you then till dinner time. I must be one of those same dumb wise men. When I walk with Graciano, I have to be one of those same dumb wise men. That is, he never gives me a chance to talk. For Graciano, never lets me speak. Graciano, well, keep me company but 2 years more. Thou shalt not know the sound of thine own tongue. You be with me for 2 more years. You will not know the sound of your voice, because I will never allow you to speak. Farewell, I'll grow a talker for this year. Okay, Graciano, I will try to talk more. Thanks, thee, for silence is only commendable in a need's tongue dried and made not vendible. Only 2 persons should keep quiet. One is, here it is not done, but in some places, the tongue of animals, cow, and all. It is cooked, dried and cooked. And it is considered to be a delicacy, a good dish in some places. Now, suppose this tongue is cooked and kept as a dish, and that tongue starts talking. It will be dangerous. We will not feel like eating a talking tongue. In the same way, a maid which has passed the marriageable age, that person also should not be talking much. So in these two persons, these two places, too much of talking is not allowed. Otherwise, they should talk. Is anything now? Antonio is asking Bassanio. Bassanio says, Graziano speaks an infinite deal of nothing. Oh, this fellow Graziano. He just goes on talking and talking. There won't be any sense in what he is talking. More than any man in all Venice. His reasons are as 2 grains of wheat hid in 2 bushels of chaff. So that is, it is like trying to find the sense in what Graziano is speaking is like finding a needle in a haystack. And once you trying to find 2 grains of wheat in a big haystack, you try to find, once you find, you will find it was not worth searching for it. And when you have them, they are not worth the search. Antonio, well, tell me now, what lady is the same to whom you swore a secret pilgrimage? I heard you are going to meet a lady. Tell me about that lady. That you today promised to tell me of. You promised to tell me about a lady. Come on, speak about that lady. So we'll stop today. Thank you, children.